Hello everyone, and welcome to another Fara carry guide. Today we're going to do the start of a new series where we're looking at the new American carriers that were released in 6.13, 6.14. So our first ship up for the lineup today is the Langley. So in brief, these upcoming number of videos, we'll do each of them in turn. So we'll go Langley right through to Midway, and we'll do a video for each rather than one large 1-2 hour type video. We're going to be looking at the ship setup, the modules, the captain skills, and then generally how you might play this particular ship in a random battle. So first up, as we said, Langley. Here's our ship here. Now, when you research the ship, if you get it for the first time, probably the only thing I would recommend like expediting first if you have free experience is to upgrade the fighters from tier 3 to tier 4. They are, for all intents and purposes, they have more health, they are slightly faster in that respect, and you want to use that to muscle out other Langleys, because if the other Langley has an improved fighter and you don't, you're going to lose the air battle. And also, if you have a poor Hosho on the enemy team, you want to kind of bully him with your single fighter, because both carriers have a single fighter, and you want yours to be stronger. So I would recommend getting the fighter to be upgraded first. After that, it can be optional. The hangar capacity is always a positive thing because it actually gives you extra planes from 24 up to 30. You could then also choose to upgrade the torpedo bombers, and then the last thing I would do is upgrade the dive bombers itself. In terms of consumables, if you're trying to save money, you don't need to buy Damage Control Party 2. You can go with the Damage Control Party 1. It's active for 30 seconds with one of the latest patches, so you probably don't need the premium variant of it, especially this early. It's entirely up to yourself if you want to use it or not. In terms of upgrades, we have very limited selection at tier 4, so we can take the first one, which is Air Groups Mod 1, increases the damage of our aircraft guns, which means our fighters mainly are going to be doing a little bit more damage. Theoretically, the bombers will also have a slightly stronger rear gunner, and since there's no strafing mechanics at tier 4 and tier 5, or no alt attacks as that is, it can come in handy. You know, you could actually make tangible use of the skill and whatnot, but here we are. And then in the second one, a damage control system. There's no point getting propulsion or steering. We just want to reduce the chance that we are set on fire and flooding. So those are the two upgrades. In terms of captain skills, not everyone is expected to have a 19-point captain. In this particular instance, I only have a 3-point captain on the Langley. So in terms of skills, who honestly has a 19-point captain on the Langley? It's real diehards, but we'll have a look at it. This is the current build I have, where the first skill we always want is Aircraft Servicing Expert. This will give us the ability to have some plane health, some servicing time of the planes are faster. The 2-point skill, because there's no ability to cross-drop with the American carriers, and there's only a single torpedo bomber wave, you could argue that taking Adrenaline Rush and not Torpedo Acceleration, because you only have a single wave, so you approach the ships that you want to hit from the side and you want to drop as close as possible, which means you don't take Torpedo Acceleration. However, because at tier 4 and 5 we have to auto drop, we actually want to have faster torpedoes so we have more chance of hitting, if that makes sense. So in this percent, I personally would take Torpedo Acceleration, but for the, and this is kind of a spoiler, for the tier 6, 7, 8, 9s, it may actually be better not to take Torpedo Acceleration but go with something like Adrenaline Rush. But that's kind of personal flavor. For a 3-point skill and onwards, if you really wanted to go 19-point for the captain, here we can see captain build. So we chose Aircraft Servicing Expert, we went with Torpedo Acceleration. Now, because the main damage source is the torpedo bombers, you could go down Torpedo Armor and Expertise for your 3-point skill. It's probably more preferential. The anti-air on the Langley is so low that taking self-defense skills such as basic fire training and advanced fire training are not going to have a large multiplier effect. Because you're under tier 8, sniping at tier 4, especially if you get matched into tier 4-5 aims, is a thing. And because you're not very maneuverable, avoiding drops, even auto drops, can be tricky, but I'm not sure you should go with this first. I think you should go with the Torpedo Armor and Expertise, then take Air Supremacy, which is very important because it, rather than just also giving you an extra dive bomber, it bumps off the fighter wave to a wave of 7. So this is very, very helpful. And then after that, Dogfighting Expert. Because if you do come into a double CV game, or anyone has a fighter plane that's higher than your tier 5, boom, you're going to get the Dogfighting Expert, and that's going to give your single fighter lots of control in the sky. Because it will not come down to strafing in the 4 or 5 bracket, it will come down to click-on engagements and how many multipliers and benefits you can get to your fighters. So Dogfighting Expert is also a very important 11-point skill. After that, the remaining points, well, it's entirely up to yourself. The concealment at sea is 9.8 kilometers for the Langley, so you don't really need Concealment Expert. However, if this captain you're going to progress down the line with, then you may choose to take Concealment Expert. Alternatively, we can just go with basic fire training, advanced fire training, because we don't have large caliber guns. All our guns are under the magical 85mm. So you could go BFT, AFT, and you'd have 1 point left over. Maybe go priority target. Alternatively, there's some other options. You could go down concealment. You could go down AFT as well. But it's unlikely that you would have a 19-point captain in the Langley, and that ultimately the key 11 skills that you want are the ones that are listed here. Okay. Right, as we say, my captain is only 11 points. For the most part, I have what I need in that I have... I don't have the air supremacy. In fact, you know what? I'm going to cheat, so forgive me here. We're just going to push this captain up to 11 points. This is what I'd consider the bare minimum to make a captain somewhat viable. So we'll take torpedo acceleration, we'll get ourselves air supremacy, and then we'll also take dogfighting. Boom. And that's the bare minimum captain, and we're happy with this. So let's go into a random battle and see what happens, shall we? Now the Langley at the tier 4 as an American carrier has, as I said earlier, air control. That is the one thing that you're going to be good at tier 4. Provided you use your planes effectively, because an important element is that at tier 4 and 5 and also 6, you only have 2 plane waves. You have the first wave that goes out, and you have 1 set of reserves. So it's really important that you look after your planes. And also, if you with your carrier are able to basically punish the enemy carrier, bleed them off, kill some planes, or outmuscle them, they'll be run dry, and that gives you the team the advantage. They can't scout as much, and they can't bomb. So in this particular game over here, up here, is that it's a Hosho. We are a Langley. Our fighter is already more powerful than the Hoshos, and we've also upgraded ours as best we can. We've got 7 planes. It's tier 5. We've got lots of ammunition. We've got the dogfighting. So everything's kind of in our favor to control the skies. And then with our torpedo bomber and dive bomber, looking at the targets that we have under options, any of the battleships are okay. None of them are particularly high AA levels. The cruisers are a little bit more maneuverable. They may be a little bit harder to hit. The destroyers are the most tricky though. So going after the destroyers, because you've only got a single torpedo bomber wave and because it's auto dropping, I don't recommend trying to hit destroyers unless it's absolutely necessary. So in terms of takeoff priority here, I'm actually going to cancel the dive bomber, get the torpedo bomber to go up next, and then the dive bomber. You can right click, by the way, down here if you want to cancel. We'll get our fighter out first into the front line. I just want to see where's the enemy team, what are they doing, where are they going, where are the enemy planes, and if in the center I feel like I can go where it's necessary. And then bombers, I'm going to group them up, and then we're just going to look for a target. We want to see a battleship firing, or anyone who doesn't really have any kind of protection. In the tier 4-5 bracket, there are no real defensive fires, so we're just looking for ships that aren't necessarily super clumped up, and then if we can try and do multiple damages at a time, because we have a fire and a flood. So if we use the torpedo bombers first, and we get some floods, oh, and I forgot to put signals on the ship, so we'll come back to that at the end of this video. We're going to try and get a flood with our torpedo bombers, and then we'll try and get some fires with the dive bombers, assuming the ship then uses their damage control party, so we get more damage rather than just an alpha strike. So we found the enemy's planes. Seems to be maybe trying to use friendly ships AA, so I don't really want to go into a Kaiser and all the battleships AA bubble, but I know where he is, so he can't kind of surprise any of our team. Now this Kaiser's looking as if he doesn't want to go with his teammates, so I'm going to keep my fighters nearby. Oh, hello, some cruisers. Looks like maybe he's using his guy. He doesn't have air supremacy, so he's only got 4 planes, so this will be my fighter will basically eat him alive. But we're just being a little bit patient now, waiting for their team to dissipate. I know I'm going to go after the Kaiser. I'm just waiting for him to kind of spread out. click on it, send the fighter first. I'm gonna have the torpedo bombers go first. Now the only issue here is that we need to make sure that we don't drop into the island. Now he's pulling his fire back. That's fine, so long as he doesn't cause a panic effect on the torpedo bombers. We don't really worry too much. See, he's trying to engage these guys. I'm gonna stop him. Come on, drop. Nah, see, not all of them are gonna... Oh, maybe. Only a few of these are gonna connect because he's turning. But the fact is, we're just realistically looking for a flag. And see how quickly we kill these fighters off? Now, as soon as we kill his fighter... Alright, no flooding. So we'll just come up with the dive bombers because there was no flooding point. We'll pull our fighter back because... See, he's now trying to use the torpedo bombers because he knows my fighters are out of position. If we had a flood on the Kaiser, maybe we could have followed up with a fire and got a lot more damage than what this Alpha Strike is available. I'm going to line up lengthwise. I'm going to tweak it so that's perfectly on top of him as much as can possibly had, and then let the bombs drop. Okay, so 3 bomb hits, 2 fires, but you know he'll instantly damage control that. Yeah, so he's damage controlled that, so the fires are gone. And of course, if he had a flooding, then he'd be on fire for 2 fires for the full duration, but that's not the case. Now, in terms of these torpedo bombers, I can't actually stop them from dropping, but what I can do is I'm going to hunt them down and prevent their escape route. So I'll go for the one that's dropped first. So he can't escape, and he's already down to 2 planes anyway. And the fact is, if we kill these torpedo bomber waves off, he only has 1 more wave after this. So we're going to anticipate his return path, and then grab him. In terms of our ship, there's most of the enemies over on the west side, so where we are is not so bad. In fact, we could probably even go up a little bit because we've got Miyogi giving us some cover. We're killing off this torpedo bombers, that's great. And although we've lost the fighter, we don't need to bring our plane back either because we have plenty of ammunition. We're almost full, we're only down 1 plane, and we know that because he's only got 4 fighters in a wave rather than 5, we can go back into the middle and re-establish air control. Some other options that we could do is we could scout for our team if necessary. There is a Kamikaze R over on the east side, which we don't know where he is. He could be a threat because they're quite a powerful destroyer. We don't really need to do too much on the west side. We do know where his last fighter is. We're not too worried about him because I'm going to try work on this Kaiser again. So I'll get both the bombers up, ready, and then we'll see if we can't punish him for being isolated and alone. Since most of my team is in this particular area fighting their team, I wonder if their Hosha will try and bomb here again, so I'm just going to keep the fire in the general area. Last thing you want to do is get baited in thinking, oh, there's a plane, I'll just go after it. Don't do that. Play patient, play in your line, wait for him to make the play, or use your bombers to bait his fighter out of position. So here comes these are his last planes. The ones in the air, this is it. He doesn't have any other spares. So we'll have our bombers go up for the Kaiser, and then while this is going on, we're going to watch to see what he does with these planes. And I'm also going to waypoint by holding down the shift button, see what we're doing here. Now this means that rather than the plane flying around a circle when it's loitering, it will fly in it won't drift when it flies in circles into enemy AA bubbles. Now this Diane, hold on, I'm going to waypoint the bombers so that they don't go into the Kaiser's AA, and I'm going to try and get over here and intercept these torpedo bombers. Now he'll use his fighter as a sacrificial lamb probably to prevent himself being panicked. Oh, actually, he's trying to go after my bombers. Oh, we'll do the same. I'm going to try and help our Shenyang. I'm going to go after his torpedo bombers. And because we can't manual, we're going to basically auto drop this guy as best as we can anticipate how he's going to turn. So there's some dive bombs. Oh! And if we're just lucky enough, we stop the torpedo bombers from dropping because the guy died. He's not paying attention, so he's not going after the torpedo bomber. That's fine. I don't think I can catch his torpedo bomber either, which is a little bit frustrating. But what we can do is we can actually even go after the Hosho. I mean, the Hosho is the best possible target right now. And since we know there's only a Kamikaze, we'll fly the dive bomber over a friendly cruiser. Maybe it'll kill some of his fighter planes. Capo fighter might grab it if actually he's given up. Our fighter's now going to intercept his. And we will see if we can't torpedo bomb the Hosho. In fact, because we can't auto drop, we're just going to go like this. The reason we're doing it at kind of like a 90-degree angle is so that if he turns left, we can pull it back and he can get clipped, and if he turns right, then we can just sort of tilt it a little bit forward that way. Okay, so his fighters are all gone. He's only got one wave of torpedo bombers left. Here's our drop. It's, you know, it's an auto drop, but it's good because he's turning too late. This is actually the worst thing to do. You should turn in. So we're going to clip him with 3, maybe 4, depending on his speed. So that was a good drop for us. And the destroyer will finish him off. Oh, boom. And now we found the Kamikaze R with the fighter. So we'll keep our fighter over the Kamikaze R and spot him. However, we just noticed the Hosho's taken off his last torpedo bomber. So if I was this Hosho, I would try and bomb the Shenyang right now. So we're going to send the fire back over to the Shenyang and then see if we can... Oh, well, he's not. He's trying to bomb one of these guys in the south. It doesn't do a lot of damage, so we're just going to keep this destroyer spotted. Because our cruiser's basically firing him. If there was nobody firing him or doing anything, then we probably wouldn't bother. Speaking of which, he's pretty beat up. Encourage our team to shoot him. Only 3 dive bombers left. It's because we lost a few in the first drop and quite a few in the second one. I don't think there's any reason for staying back, so I'm gonna tell my ship with autopilot to move up. Their Kamikaze R is in smoke, so the only thing I can do now is spot outcoming torpedoes and make sure he doesn't escape from the back. So I'm gonna waypoint the front and then go once to the back as well. And then what that'll do is it'll watch the front for incoming torpedoes, and it'll also make sure he doesn't try and escape out the back where he might be outside of detection range of the fighter watching one in the front. Now, this single torpedo bomber wave shouldn't do any real damage, especially if he's only got to Milgi, because the AA should be able to, you know, pick the planes off, which he's doing right now. So that's why I didn't have it chased with the fighter. That's why I used the fighter to spot the Kamikaze R. Now the Hosho's actually managed to escape because Shenyang is having to back off because of the Svetlana. Oh, and there's the Kamikaze R. We might have to do some more work here. Actually, I'm going to slow down because what we have to take into consideration is that I have a limited number of planes. I have excess torpedo bombers, which is great, but I can't be expected to... he only has 2 torpedo bombers. I can't be expected to kill everybody, so I need to be selective on who I attack. I can't just do throwaway attacks on ships that won't die. So, for example, in this instance, the Milgi is not worth attacking because I wouldn't be able to kill him off and I'd be losing planes. But the Wyoming, I would be able to kill off with torpedo bombers and dive bombers, and that might give my team the advantage in a sort of battleship fight. Now, Hosho's spotted. Now this Dyna, and well, he's going to probably get wrecked. It's risky. They really should focus on the Svetlana. They shouldn't go after the Hosho right now. The thing is it worth using my last 3 dive bombers to go after the Hosho? Not really, because the Hosho only has 2 torpedo bombers. That's his last offensive capability. So I don't want to waste planes going after him and trying to kill him off. Kamikaze R is still somewhere. We got spare planes in our reserve, so we can keep this Kamikaze R up. Now, I think, as I said, the Wyoming is probably the best target we go for. I could go for the Svetlana, but with an Omaha at full health there, I think that's enough. So we are going to go and attack the Wyoming instead, because we can kill this guy off, and that's a meaningful impact. With this battleship down, it'll be 2-on-1 instead. So he's turning, so we're anticipating the turn, and we're just moving the little reticle here. We're looking to try and get some fires. Or we're basically just trying to get some hits at this stage with just 2 bombers. We got some. Alright, cool. Now we're going to click and do it so that as he's turning, we're anticipating the turn. See how he's turning left? So I'm going slightly higher up than normal. I'm not doing it from behind, I'm doing it at the angle. So I'm anticipating him trying to turn around and around. So we're dropping for him. And this is why I took torpedo acceleration, because these torpedoes are now going much faster than they were before. And we should kill him here. Well, maybe not now. The tail one, I need this front nose one to connect. Nope. Right, well, I'm encouraging my team to kill him off. That's disappointing. Because he was the wrong speed, so the tail one didn't hit, and then the front nose one, because he's able to turn enough, didn't hit him either. So I only got 2 out of 6 there. Needed 3 to finish him off. And you might be able to heal that and pull back, so we'll see. I'll keep this kamikaze spotted. I mean, the Omaha should be able to deal with them. We still have a full wave of torpedo bombers. We've only got 2 dive bombers left over. We are just barely in the lead, but the Hosho's low, the Wyoming's low, and we got 3 battleships in the south all kind of recongregating to deal with the Muriogi. So the outlook of this game is not that bad, but I'm a little bit disappointed about this guy, so I'm going to turn around actually and head more behind this island, go faster, get closer to my friendly guys. If he smokes up, he won't be able to see the Omaha, and the Omaha might be able to escape, provided he's not on fire, which he is. I think he's going to burn out. Yeah, it's no point spotting the kamikaze yard. There's nobody that can deal with them, so we're going to pull back and maybe try and engage the last. If he has any bombers left over, we'll pick them off. And there's no point going north either now as well, because we'll become food for the 2 ships. So we're going to pull down. And this guy has chosen to open up with his guns to take care of the Hosho. Alright, I mean, he gives a little bit more of a point lead. But he needs to go back into stealth as soon as he does that and not take too much damage from that Omaha. And the Wyoming, again, we're probably just going to bully him. And, hello, Izokaze. That's who we're going to spot next for our battleships to make sure there's like unknown unseen torpedoes that come in. Cool. So the Shenyang, you might even be able to pick off the Wyoming with torpedoes here. The other risk is that he just commits suicide. But we should be able to help. Well, the Myogi down the south is going to die, so that's great for us. We don't have to worry about that. So yeah, we're pretty comfortable in getting a win here, and we'll keep this guy lit up. So sort of reiterate the air control element. Because I have air control, not so much that the enemy carrier is dead, but because I have air control, I can use the fighters now to scout. And I don't care if I lose them to some passive lucky AA shots, because there's no other bombers or planes to worry about, and now I can just keep the most high-risk ships illuminated, torpedoes that could come from them, that type of stuff. So the battleships don't have anything to worry about. And we have a point lead, and Shenyang got himself his battleships, so that's cool. So realistically, I'm going to try and bomb the Omaha now, because this is the only thing I can really hit. I mean, I could try drop the destroyers, but they're very easily able to turn out of it, so it's not that desperate. My only concern is the kamikaze arc could be racing down behind me right now, so I just want to make sure I don't get caught off guard, as it were. So I'll keep this guy spotted for the time being, just so everyone can see him and shoot at him, because he's almost dead. And as soon as he's gone, I will then, maybe with these dive bombers, if they survive on the return, try and spot this kamikaze R, or have as soon as this guy dies, I'll send the fighters there to go find him. That's kind of the only really unknown at the moment. He could go for the base or something, depending on how quick he is. Yep, it's all drops for you. Now he's quite maneuverable in this sense, and if I do that, is probably the best approach, because if he turns in, he could dodge them all. If he turns away and he has enough time, he could dodge them all. Now he's going straight at the there he is, so he's turning in. So I'm pulling away a little bit, like that. See, he's going to hard turn, so I'm going to basically drop him this way. So he's in this hard turn, so I'm anticipating his positioning, and we should be able to clip him. Rather than a miss, we might get him with 1 or 2. Okay, so that's fair enough. Right. Uh-oh. I'm ship detected. So I'm basically telling the team, this is bad, I'm detected, come help me. Now, we can sort of guesstimate his position. Is he over here? Because we're behind islands, so there's line of sights for where he may or may not be. He's not there, so I'm assuming he's maybe up in this central section. He's not going to be in front of us, so we can run away from him, and we'll be reasonably safe from like torpedoes, because they have to chase us, right? So we don't have to worry. There he is. I'm going to double ping here a few times. We know where he is. I'm going to have the bomber come back now, and I'm going to go full speed. But I don't go faster than 15 knots. So this is actually really bad. This guy's going to escape. which is not great. I got 3 battleships just kind of sort of meandering. Oh man, okay. We're going to try and get as small a target as possible. I just don't want to lose any speed because we're going so slow. He will try and torp us. Ultimately, we're just looking to bomb him. And now the torpedo bombers are not ready yet, so I'm not going to use the damage control party yet. I'm going to wait for them to be ready, then I'll drop it. Now as far as... Oh, hello. Alright, now we are. And turn to try and dodge. Okay. Oh, hello, he's reversing. Well, we'll do it that way. On the assumption he's reversing because he wants to hide from the battleships. I'm going to drop from this direction so it doesn't go into the islands. He's not exactly moving a lot. So now he's going that way, so we're going to anticipate him going this way at speed, so we're going to drop this way. It's all a bit of a gamble, really. And then the fire plane, I'm just going to waypoint in case I die. I'm going to die now, that's for sure. Don't want to drop him from behind. Now I'm going to tell the planes to waypoint, not to return to the carrier. So that, oh, maybe. No, you can see how easy it is for him to dodge that crap. But because I told the planes not to return and waypoint, they're going to keep eye over this guy. And he has got 60 seconds. I don't think they have enough time to accumulate enough points. Because we're not gaining any points and they are. But I don't think they can get 160 points in the 50 seconds. So we should win this game. And by having the torpedo bombers flying over there, there might be some detection of torpedoes that come out. This fighter I tried to have waypoint. The Azukat is going to come down. He's not going to be able to interfere. So we're basically playing at the clock here. And yeah, kind of shows the limitations of what you can do in T4 carrier. Because without the ability to manual attack, and even with a single plane wave, even if we could manual attack, for example, at tier 6, 7, 8, it's very difficult to hit destroyers because they can just turn on the single wave and dodge it. Honestly, what these battleships, if they looked at the clock and the points, they realistically shouldn't need to go into the cap because they're in the lead. He can't cap the base in time, he can't stall points because they're not gaining them quick enough, so we would win by the game clock. So them getting closer just risks being torped and losing. But there we go. I'll win. Nearly top spot. We did do a bit of work. 16 plane kills. Enemy carrier got 7 plane kills. Oh, wow, that's quite impressive. I wonder if he was going after capital planes or something. Oh, maybe he had a... Yeah, he went after the dive bombers. He got a bunch of dive bombers. That's why it was so high. Now, one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video. Under the exteriors, when you're playing the Langley, if you have some experienced camos, I highly recommend you use that just to kind of burst through it as quick as possible. Under signals, the flooding signal is really helpful. Case in point, I didn't get a flooding. It could have really hurt with the Kaiser earlier on. The Victor Lima is a flooding and fire chance signal, so because we have dive bombers and torpedo bombers, these are really good signals to have. You could pick speed, but ultimately the base ship speed is so low that going from 15 to 15.8 isn't really going to save you, so there's really no point in there. In that instance, because you can only have 4 signals in a carrier, the AA isn't really going to help you either. Your single muscular fighter is what's going to keep you safe. So go with experience, captain experience, or if you've got the fancier special camos, maybe you would want to go with 100% commander and ship experience just to get through the tier 4 or 5 as much as you possibly can. Anyway, that is it for today's Langley video of the updated carrier rework and the captain skills and all that type of stuff for American stuff. Coming next will be the Bog, and then we'll go through the rest of the season as we do that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.